So my question for you is, do you know all of the movies that Wes Craven directed? You may not, and that is okay. But before we even get into this video, I want to talk to you about how many movies this man has directed that are pinnacles of the horror genre. So let's take a look at the question, is Wes Craven the best horror director? First, like I mentioned, let's take a look at Wes Craven's entire filmography, because I think many of us probably don't know what his entire filmography looks like. So this isn't everything he's directed, but these are some of the highly notable things that he's done. Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Hills Have Eyes Part 2, Serpent and the Rainbow, A New Nightmare, Screams 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a bunch of other movies as well that I just thought these were the critical ones to mention for you. Every movie that I listed to you is basically a movie that everyone agrees is either a cult classic or just a classic in general. In my opinion, he probably has the best filmography of any horror director. The only one that's close to him is probably John Carpenter in my opinion. They're pretty close to each other neck and neck, but I would probably give the edge to Wes Craven just generally, but I would say probably my favorite is John Carpenter personally. But this is kind of all subjective. So how do you determine who is the best horror director? Is it by how much people are scared by the movies? Is it by gross profit of his or her career? Is it by how many people love your films? It's hard to determine, but I think Wes Craven is definitely up there for a few moments in his films that I would like to mention. I think the opening to Scream is one of the most horrifying scenes in all of cinema. The swooping camera shots and the wide open framing leaves the ability for Ghostface to pop out at any moment, and you, or Casey Becker played by Drew Barrymore, being completely helpless to avoid Ghostface from anywhere. I think everything about the opening, from the way he frames Drew Barrymore in the entire opening scene, or her death later, and especially the way that he frames Casey desperately trying to reach a phone that is just out of her reach, I think just grabs you and makes you feel so emotionally attached to her, even though you've only seen her for 5 minutes at that point. Safety and help is almost there, but she just can't reach it, which I think is what makes that entire scene so heartbreaking. And I think that's what sets the tone for the entire film. Now, let's look at Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know if this came out before or after, but I have a whole video about Nightmare on Elm Street specifically, which is a little bit longer, it goes into more depth, and you can check that out. This is by far one of the most iconic films in all of cinema history, and I think most people can agree. There are countless things that make this movie stand out, but here's just a few. Tina's death is absolutely one of the most insane kills in any horror movie. She's killed and completely thrown around the room, and I think the direction of this scene is what makes it so scary. Specifically the shot of her boyfriend in the corner of the room as Tina is being flung around and dragged up the walls and things like that. And also the way that the blood is spewing from one side to the other just adds to it. The next kill that I think is just one of the most insane kills in all of movies is Glenn's death, played by Johnny Depp, where he is sucked into his bed and then a spew of basically a blood volcano is spewed straight up, and the blood goes to the left, it goes to the right, it goes along the wall, it goes down the walls, it is defying gravity, and specifically the way you see the blood moving along the roof, like along the ceiling of the room, is just incredibly well directed. I think Wes Craven is at least in the top 2 or 3 best horror directors. While it feels like lazy writing, and in the script for a movie, I believe it might have been a Scream sequel, but I might have been wrong. It literally was written in the script, Wes does something scary here, which I think just kind of solidifies how scary he is as a director. So I can't tell you if Wes Craven is the best horror director. I think that's because the horror genre is so subjective. What scares me might not scare you, what scares you might not scare me or someone else, and I think that's why this question is so hard to determine. But I do think he's at least one of the most diverse, creative, well-known directors in all of cinema. And last but not least, he is someone who truly knows how to scare the crap out of anyone who watches his movies. Thank you all for watching, I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. If you want to check out all the podcasts, you can do so by looking up the Mediabyte Podcast Network. It's on all of your favorite podcast apps, or you could search up Diary of an Indie Filmmaker, Slash It, or Exploring Cinema. Follow us on Instagram, it's at Mediabyte Company, and TikTok is at Mediabyte Co. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.